On this week's show, what does the new government guidelines mean for us property investors?
And we're going to be answering all of your property and business related questions in this week's Q&A session.
Welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an upload. You can catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Enjoy this week's show and don't forget to share it with all your friends.
Hey, I'm Russell Leeds.
Hey, I'm Alistair Cunningham. How are you?
And welcome to the Property Investors Podcast. Were you sort of saying, how are you to me? Or to you saying it's the audience?
Both.
Both?
Yeah, both.
All right, cool. Well, I'm very well, thank you. I'm very well. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. Good. No, good. All good. I've literally just got back from a day of viewings up in the sunny world of Barnsley.
I'm looking outside. It's very rainy where I am in Buckinghamshire. Is it sunny where you are?
No, I was being very sarcastic because I went up north this morning to look at a development opportunity. And the minute you go north of Birmingham, it just starts raining. And as soon as I got north, it just started raining. And it's just like seriously heavy rain. It's like, really? Anyway, it's all good. I've just got in, so we're all good.
We have been so blessed with the weather. That's this year. It has been incredible. But I think it's coming to an end now.
I think so. I think, I don't know if you know, but do you know every year you get that morning when you wake up and you think, oh, winter's coming? Like, do you ever get that feeling? Like, do you know when you wake up in the morning, you go out and it's that cold, damp dew, and it's like, oh, winter's coming. And I every year I get this, and that happened last week for me when I
really? That happened today for me because the last week has been pretty nice.
Yeah, it has, yeah.
Been pretty nice, but today it was the first day of it was 16 degrees, whereas it has been 20s, every day. I actually put a coat on to go out because it was raining and cold. And it's like, okay. So, do you know what, though? I look forward to the winter.
I don't mind the winter either.
I don't. I look forward to all the seasons. And then when I'm in them, I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. And then by the time it gets to the end, I'm looking forward to wearing my big coats again and my jumpers. I definitely think that I like my winter clothes more than my summer clothes. But then obviously, it's nice being out in the sun as well. So it's a win. It's a win-win. But I enjoy winter. I enjoy summer, spring. I like it all. So for me, it's happy days.
Good. So you don't suffer from SAD, which is seasonal something disorder, seasonal attitude disorder or something. I can't remember. I don't know what it stands for. I can't remember what it stands for. But basically, it's that where people in the winter get all down in the dumps and a bit moody and a bit wish this would be over. And
no, the only thing, if I could control it, I would leave it pretty much as it is, and probably I would start March in January.
Right. Okay. Fine. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but other than that, like if I'm being really picky, I'd say, okay, let's have a nice 20 degrees sort of temperature in January onwards. Because by January, you're kind of like, okay, I'm done with the cold now.
Yeah, shit now. Get on with it. A bit like COVID-19. But enough of this shit now. Let's get on with it. But yeah. So
what are your? See, I've changed my opinion on the whole thing. I mean, we'll get on to property in a minute and how it's affecting property. But I can't think of a time where I've trusted a government less than I trust our government right now.
I kind of agree with you on that. Did you see the press conference last night?
I read it. I didn't watch it. I read it because he's so slow, isn't he? He's like, it was like, I'll read the text.
It was the most. I genuinely feel it was the most. I can't even think of the word, but it was the most patronising 8 minutes I've ever heard him waffle on. And he waffles some shit in his life, right? But he waffled on for 8 minutes about how. Like, it's clear he was reading from auto cue, but he was waiting for the next screen to come on. That's obvious. He was like, and you can do this. It was like he was just waiting for the screen to roll on every time. It was so obvious, but it was the most patronising 8 minutes from him I've ever heard. And I've never. I know he's a bit of a waffler and he's a bit of a whatever, and I've been very supportive of what the government have done up until last night. But I don't get it. I don't understand like the science behind. Okay, you can. We're now in another 6 months of lockdown, so we're going to be in basically 12 months of lockdown, okay? So right off 2019, 2020, okay? So, but what I don't get is this whole...
Don't you mean 2020, 2021?
Oh, yeah.
2019 was fine.
It was banging year. But, what I just don't get this whole shutting a pub an hour earlier. Like, how is, like, I don't get it. Like, and see all the memes that have popped up on social media with like pictures of what the people think coronavirus are waiting outside the pub at 9:59, getting their COVID.
So someone had where they were running down the street. They're like, oh, they were like this. When coronavirus catches you when you sneakily leave the pub at 10:02.
Yeah, I don't get it, and I just. I've been listening to today a lot of talk radio on the way back down south, and I've never really listened to talk radio because I always thought it was really boring. But as I get older, I find that stuff more enjoyable. So I was listening to that today, and there's lots of discussions about what's been going on, and it's very true what a lot of them are saying. They're saying the cure is now going to actually become more deadly than the actual virus. That all this lockdown, the shutdown, the economy drive, basically the screw up to the economy, and it's literally, if we go into another meltdown, another lockdown, the economy is going to melt. I'm telling you now, because it just is. They're not going to continue furlough and all that sort of stuff. So you imagine if we go into another full 6 months like we've just had. It's just there's going to be so many deaths, and not just deaths of people, but deaths of economy, deaths of businesses. That it's just, I think it's
interesting, isn't it? Because I was chatting to, I mean, one of the things about property is no matter what happens in the economy, people still need a place to live. I was chatting to my dad, and he does online health.
Yeah.
I said to him, if there's any industry that you're going to get through this with, it's online health, because it's online, so people can order in, and also it's health, and everyone's worried about their health right now. It's like, it's perfect. Yeah. But he's concerned because he's like, yeah, but if people, if like nearly everyone else is struggling and they haven't got any money, then they won't buy. You know, it's simpler. So it's the same with being a property entrepreneur or a landlord. If people aren't buying now, I'd like to say as well that so far, I do, you know, the property market, as we've been talking about recently, is moving a lot right now.
Yeah. People
have still got money right now. You know, I know there's been people that have been made redundant, but we're still talking a fraction of the overall market. So I think right now we're okay, and if we don't go into another lockdown, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah.
My concern is I've totally lost faith in the government. I've totally lost faith in what they say. I don't believe them. I don't believe what they say. I saw a friend of Samuel's and a little bit of the Apprentice winner, Joseph Lante.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him post about it, and about how he thinks it's all bull. And someone went on and said, you know, how dare you say the government don't have our best interests at heart? That, you know, when it comes to our health. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? Like, I've never thought they had our best interests at heart. They've got their own interests at heart. They've got...
Dude, it's been proven, right? Even today, right? I was listening. There was one of the, I don't know, the main speaker or whatever. I don't even know who it was, but somebody really high up in Labour was quoted as saying, "Never let a good disaster stop you from a good story," or something like that. And the way they're spinning it is they're using this as this crisis to push their agenda even further and to push their campaign to get Labour back in. And honestly, I'm all for creating your own economy, doing your own thing. But like going back to what you said, if we go into another lockdown, right, and another situation where people are losing their jobs, because there will be more job losses. There will be more businesses closing. There will be retailers going out of business because New Year's Eve's been cancelled. So people aren't going to be buying fancy dresses. They aren't going to be buying expensive jewelry. Restaurants are going to shut because people can't go out for Christmas dinner. All that sort of stuff, okay? It's all going to have a massive effect on the economy. And when it has a massive effect on the economy, that will run down the line. So I don't care what business you're in, even property investors, they're not safe. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because tenants, if they haven't got money, they're not going to pay their rent. As simple as that, right? And the government are putting in protection for the tenants, so you can't evict them. Now that's due to come to an end very, very soon. But will the government extend it to protect them even more? And it's just.
Interestingly, I'm not at all worried about myself from a health point of view, or even from a financial point of view, because I know that when there's a crash, when there's depression, there's still opportunities still need to be made, and I know that I'm going to be okay. So I'm not really concerned about myself. I'm concerned about the country. I'm concerned about the general public and the people that probably aren't in such a fortunate position. Like, I've got lots of assets, hey, it's not great. I'm sure you're the same. I know there's going to be big opportunities in this that I know I'll be able to take advantage of. But I'm just concerned. I'm just a bit, not concerned, I don't know what the word is, a bit apprehensive at what the government's agenda is. What are they trying to push? Because I don't for a minute believe that they're doing it for people's health, particularly the weak and the vulnerable. Who really are primarily the people that are getting affected by it. But it's interesting because, like, in other countries like Sweden, where they haven't put a lockdown on at all, yet we're actually gaining more cases than they are, and they've had nothing.
Yeah, but look, is it a case? I mean, listen, I don't know enough about it to have any sort of qualified opinion on it, all right? This is purely what I've seen from what I've looked at, and it's very, very limited. So, like, don't take this as Alistair's claiming he knows what he's talking about. I'm not, all right? I'm really not. But is it a case of, okay, they're doing more and more testing than they've ever done before, so they're going to get more and more results? Like surely.
Well, it is a case of that, because they're saying that hospital cases and deaths aren't on a spike. What's on a spike is cases. But of course there are, because you're doing more testing. And even on the government's website, they admit, or it might be on the NHS, can't remember, but one of the gov type websites admit that sometimes the common cold will be picked up as a positive COVID test.
I read that the other day. And we're coming into the cold season.
It's like, okay, so you're getting more tests. The common cold is being picked up as you saying you've got COVID. Well, of course, everyone's going to be getting a cold now. It's getting towards October, and it's getting colder. It's like that happens every year.
Yeah. You know what I saw, which was actually quite funny the other day? It made me chuckle. I saw somebody posted it on Facebook, and it said, the reason why obviously COVID cases are increasing is because they're doing more tests. Much similar to if they carried out more IQ tests, they realised there's more idiots in the country. Like, it's just so true, isn't it? Not saying anyone's an idiot, but it's very, very true. The more tests you do, the more results you're going to get. It's that simple. But like,
I would say now more than ever though is the time as a property investor, as an entrepreneur, is to keep your finger on the pulse. And to be looking at what's going on with the markets, what are the opportunities, what are the gaps. So I'm speaking to a lot of more so than I've ever done before. I'm keeping in touch with a lot of experts, people who, and when I say experts, I don't mean the government experts, the health experts, but people behind the scenes, people like, what's Robert Kiyosaki doing, what's Grant Cardone doing, what does Grant Cardone think of this, what does Samuel think of this? What does Alistair think of this? And where are the opportunities? Where are the gaps? I think now more than ever, it's eyes wide open.
I agree with that. You've got to be able to spot an opportunity, and you've got to just have the courage to go for it, and do it from a position of, look, this could be your time. So I know somebody that's making an absolute killing at the minute on cryptocurrencies and all that sort of stuff, because he's moved away from property. He's still got his properties, but he's putting his money, instead of buying a property, he's putting it into crypto. I don't know enough about crypto to even entertain doing that. So maybe it's something I'll look at. But
when there's a disaster, they always say, don't they? I mean, you were just saying about that Labour MP, and while he basically is saying he can profit off a disaster. You don't want your leaders to be saying that, because you want your leaders to be avoiding disasters. Not, however, as an individual, if there is a disaster, there's always opportunity to make money, and more millionaires are made in a disaster. So for me, I would say you want to be keeping your eye out for opportunities.
Yeah,
I know. You want to be looking at what experts. And when I say experts, I'm not talking about experts like your BBC experts and your
expert. That's funny. BBC. All right, okay.
And your Boris Johnson experts.
Yeah.
I'm talking about what's Alastair Cunningham doing right now? What's Samuel Eads doing right now? What's Grant Cardone doing right now?
Yeah.
They're the sort of people you want to be looking at and seeing where they're moving. But I'm not a big fan of what's going on. And like I say, it's more about, because for two reasons for me. The first thing is, I think what's the agenda, right? Whenever someone does something, you've always got to, okay, why are they acting like that? And what they're saying their agenda is they're saying that they're concerned about our health. I don't believe that is true, right? Because
no, I agree with you. That is not their agenda at all. Like, it's really not.
It isn't. We've got far worse diseases than COVID-19. In fact, I'm struggling to think of a disease that I would rather have. If you said to me now, you've got to have a disease, click your fingers, go. I think COVID-19 will be top of the pile of things that I wanted to get. Obviously, I don't want to get anything, but I'm not worried about it at all from a health point of view myself.
Right.
I'd much rather have that than cancer. I'd much rather have that than diabetes. Pretty much anything, right? So and all these things, cancer, for example, we know that Wi-Fi and 4G and 5G and all this, we know that sends off rays that cause cancer, right? And cancer rates have gone up because of it. The government aren't locking down mobile phones.
No,
the government aren't locking down Wi-Fi.
They're encouraging more sales of mobile phones by dropping the tariffs and dropping the taxes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So we know that diabetes is really bad. We know that, my dad's got diabetes, my granddad's got diabetes. We know diabetes is really bad, but we're not shutting down McDonald's and locking down fast food, and they don't care. And the little bits that they do, like putting the price up of Coca-Cola and things like that. It's like, to look good, right? I don't believe they care about health. So that's not the agenda. So what is the agenda? And then you go, okay. So obviously, the pharmaceutical industries, they're very powerful. I think it's reasonably common knowledge that they're in it for profit and for money. And then when you look at something like vaccines and you think, okay, imagine you were running a business. You're in a deal sourcing business, right?
Yeah.
So you sell deals to people that need a deal.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah? Which is what happens with the drug industry. If you're sick, you have a drug. Now, with vaccines, they've flipped it. Imagine how cool it would be for you if you sold deals to everyone. So anyone's born, they've got to buy a deal just in case they need it in the future. Right?
I saw a post the other day. It was on Facebook, and it was a picture of Bill Gates saying, how can I make more money? Okay, so I've got Microsoft. I know if I create a virus within Microsoft that's created by Microsoft, I can then create the antivirus, right? And it said, there's a picture of him above saying COVID-19. If I create the illness, I can then create the vaccine. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but it was just funny. It's very, very true. Like Bill Gates, it's so true, mate. If they create the virus, they create the problem, then they can create the vaccine, they can create the cure. That's going to make.
But the fact that I don't really think. I'm
not saying I believe that, by the way. I'm just saying that's what I saw.
It's a theory, isn't it? It's a theory, and then you look at the stats. So that's one potential. And then are they going to make the vaccine compulsory? Is the vaccine going to be ready? Is the vaccine going to make us sick? If the vaccine does make us sick, what are they going to sell us? More drugs? It's actually that's one angle.
Like, obviously, we know what's happened, right? We're now back in lockdown, or restrictions, hardened, toughened restrictions. What are the restrictions that have been announced? Basically, the pubs are getting shut a bit earlier. That's not going to affect me. That's not going to affect you because we don't spend our life in pubs. So that's really no bother to me. That's going to have an effect on the hospitality industry. So what other restrictions have they put in place? They've stopped social distancing, social gatherings, no more than 6 people. What else?
To be honest, right now, I mean, we can still run events, business still 30 people. Right, I don't think this is going to really affect property investors right now that much. The danger is where's it going to go?
Yeah.
But I think you got to just be looking at what's the agenda. The other agenda, potential agenda, I'm just trying to would be: are they trying to crash the economy? I can't see why they'd want to do that. But you look at their actions, and the actions don't add up. Is my problem.
No, I agree with you.
The actions don't. So are they trying to crash? Are they deliberately trying to crash the economy? Why would they do that? Are they trying to make us more reliant on them? Are they trying to get power? Are they trying to scare the people in so that they can snap their fingers and we're on lockdown? It almost feels like it's like the thin end of the wedge going into communism. That's how it feels to me right now. With it, it's just like.
Yeah, again, I don't know enough about it because, to be honest, like anything that happens in the media, I don't pay that much attention to it because it's just, do you know what? I get on with what I've got to do, and I get on with my little businesses, and I do what I've got to do to make what I need to make. So
yeah,
until it starts.
The thing is, I know a lot of people, solicitors, doctors. Look, I don't know one person. Literally don't know one person who's going, no, I think the government are just trying to protect us and they're doing the right thing. I don't know anyone that thinks that. It's like, I don't.
It's so funny. It's so.
You hear all the conspiracy theories. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at it, looking at the call, and I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
What are they trying to achieve from this? I don't know. Is the honest answer. I don't know, but it just doesn't add up.
Could you imagine this time last year, Russ, if me and you were having dinner and I went, hey, Russ, you know what's going to happen in March, didn't you? We're going to go on lockdown for a year. Like, what would you have said?
If you turn around to me at 11 o'clock and said, do you know what we're doing right now? This will be illegal in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
Do you know that there's 4 of you in your family?
Yeah.
You can't go to your mom's house. That will be illegal because your sister lives there as well. So that's going to make 7 of you. That's illegal.
Come on.
I wouldn't have believed it, mate. I wouldn't have believed it.
Like crazy. It's crazy that it's laughable, but it's devastating because
see that shop there? Are you wearing a mask right now? Well, no. Is that if you go in that shop without a mask?
Yeah.
£200 fine.
Yeah, I know. It is ridiculous. When you start actually looking at all the rules and regs that have been brought out, it's actually a little bit ridiculous. Like last night, I went into a Nando's, okay, to pick up a takeaway, and there was somebody walked in without a mask on. I'll tell you what, the concierge, the hostess that was at the station, literally shouted at the person, "Put your mask on!" Right? And I'm like, that's like harsh. It's like, come on, man.
Did you put your mask on?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I have to. I felt so bad. But it's just, I think, look, what's happening with the economy is crazy. What's happening with government is crazy. Do I believe they've got our interests at heart? Do I not? I do not. No way. I was going to swear there, but I can't. I do not believe the government have got our interests at heart at all. But I believe, do you know what? I've been a supporter of the government all the way up until last night.
You have?
I really have. I thought they've done an amazing job of helping, because I actually believe it's above the government. I don't believe I believe the government are as clueless as we are. I really do. I believe it's above the government, and they're getting their strings pulled by whoever. And I just don't think they know as much. I just don't think they know. And I think they're working with the situation, just what they've got. But
that would make sense, because of the fact that nearly every country in the world is doing the same thing. So that would make sense. But
they're all singing off the same hymn sheet, isn't it? They're all singing off the same hymn sheets. And I just think that there's somebody bigger players at play here that are controlling a lot more. For what? I don't know. But listen, we're just mere
We
mortals.
did a poll. So with our Samuel 365 members, we did, Dunkaishi doing one tonight in about an hour. We did a coaching call, and we said this was, I think, last week when some new restrictions came in, and we said, what do you think of the new restrictions? Don't like it, or I'm unsure. And only 3% said that they liked it and supported the changes. So I don't think it's the minority. I mean, at first, I remember when we ran a crash before lockdown, when we ran a crash course, and I remember getting people. One guy in particular rang me up to have a go at me about it.
I remember that.
You remember? And I noticed on Facebook.
Does his name rhyme with Manchester United? Same initials.
Yeah.
I know who you mean.
And then I noticed on Facebook him talking about how it was a pandemic and a fake virus, and I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
4 months ago, or in March, whenever that was.
6 months. And didn't he get quite abusive to you on the phone? Like,
He
actually,
did. He was swearing at me, telling me we were. And I said to him, look, the government have said that we can run it, so we're gonna run it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the government say we can't, we won't. He wasn't very happy at all. But then now,
maybe he's woke up a little bit.
But a lot of people. To be fair though, I'll be honest. At first, I was never majorly concerned about it. But at first, it's a bit of unknown. What is this thing? I was speaking to a solicitor earlier, and I said to them, I don't know one person who's died from it, or even been in hospital from it. Don't know one person. And they were like, no, neither do I. Don't know one person. So I think you've got to put it in perspective and look at it compared to all the other diseases. I mean, we haven't really talked much about property this week. How do I think it's going to affect property? I mean, you never know for sure. I don't think these restrictions that have come in right now are going to affect it. Are they going to put us in another lockdown? Oh, maybe. If they do, then obviously that will affect it, because then people won't be able to try again.
You not wish we could just click our fingers and it all be over, and then we just forget? Just erase the last 6 months. Let's start again.
If the government came out now and said, look, it's not as serious as we first thought. It is killing people, but not many, not compared to lots of other diseases. I think what we're going to have to do is just be careful. You wear masks maybe when you're out and about. Wear masks, because that does contain it. And other than that, go back to normal. And if it drops, we'll get rid of the masks. If it's bad, we'll bring the masks back. But other than that, we're just going to say, let's just go on with our lives like we have every other disease.
Like, how about just treating the country with a bit of respect and actually saying, do you know what, you're all human beings. You can look after yourself. Obviously, there's children involved, but they'll have parents that can look after them. And at the end of the day,
but children aren't affected by it, are they? Really?
Well, not really, no. But my point being is, like Sweden, for instance, have had very much a listen. Be responsible, take precaution, but get on with your life. Okay? And that's basically what they've said, and look what's happened. Whereas
we've had
said, okay, none of you are trusted to do anything, so off you pop into your house, and then we'll let you out in 6 months, basically. And then they're talking about bringing the army out to enforce and to monitor the streets and things like that, which is just
Do they think the disease is going to disappear?
Well, it doesn't start till 10, so.
That's true. But if the disease is still around, surely at some point we've got to come out of lockdown, and then when we come out of lockdown, if it's as deadly, and then it will. We can't just stay in lockdown forever.
You know what? I think the country needs to revolt. I think the country needs to actually just revolt and just say, do you know what? From the 1st of November. Government, screw you, we're going to do what we want to do. But it will never happen, but that's what I think needs to happen. I think, screw you, we're going to do what we want to do. We're all responsible, and we're going to live our life as we see fit. Or better still, the government can say, look, you can all do what you want if you sign a disclaimer that you're not going to sue them. So I'd sign that disclaimer straight away. I'm sure you would as well. But do you know what I mean? Don't let us run the country, because you've just seen how we would do it. But I'm sure we'd do a better job. No, we wouldn't. listen, I've been a big supporter of the government up until last night. Now I'm starting to like really like think, oh BJ, come on, man. Like that was I wasn't very impressed. Anyway.
Do you call him BJ?
Yeah, oh BJ, Boris Johnson.
Is that what you call him now? I thought BJ was something else.
I don't know. My mind is clean, my friend. Don't know what that stands for. Anyway, on that note, it's time for the questions.
Okay, so it's now time for your questions and our answers, and hopefully it will be something that we know a bit more about than coronavirus. So go ahead, Al.
Right, Theo. Okay, so for those that don't know, I do a Facebook Live on Property Investors with Simon Leeds. You can drop me a question on there and we'll do our best to answer them. Also on my Instagram, Russell's Instagram, my YouTube, Russell's YouTube, and any of our other social media platforms. Just drop us a question and we'll do what we can to answer them. Right, so first question is, okay, there's a couple of people saying they've got some money to invest. They want to know what you do with £4,000 or £5,000. Personally, if you've got £4,000 or £5,000 to invest, you're not going to really invest that too easily into property, because it is quite a low amount of money to get ready into property. That's not to say you can't do it. You can absolutely do it, but you need then to get educated on things like how to raise finance, education on lease options and rent to rent. That £5,000 could be spent very, very quickly if you don't know what you're doing. And you could lose that very, very quickly if you don't know what you're doing. I think £5,000 you've got to invest. I think it is crucial that you get educated and that you spend some of that on understanding how to do this, understanding the strategies for using little money. I think that's crucial. What about yourself, Ross? Do you agree with that?
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. Mo Abdullah. Where can we see the podcast? Russell, where can they see the podcast?
Well, I think we had a question like this recently, and we said that the worst place to answer it is actually on the podcast, because if he doesn't know where the podcast is. But you can listen to us on YouTube. You can check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Deezer, Weezer, Teaser. I don't know what they're all called, but we're on all of them.
Deezer and Teaser, are they not like apps for dating? Is that not one of your apps that one of the gay dating apps, Weezer?
No, you're thinking of the app that you've got. I think it's called Grindr.
Never heard of it, my friend.
Okay. You know what? It's funny. I was actually. It's back when I used to do entertainment.
Okay.
And I hired this guy to do children's entertainment. I was like, I said, do you want a
from Grindr? Okay.
Well, no. I said, do you want an iPod, or do you want to play the music off your phone? He said, I'll do it off my phone. I was like, all right, well, let's download the app. And we couldn't download the music app I wanted to download because he had no space. And I was like, you have to delete some of your apps. So I was like, look, that one's quite big. Grindr, what's that? And he was like, oh, yes, I'm not deleting Grindr. And I was like, fair enough. Went through. I thought afterwards, it's a bit weird about that. What's Grindr? I looked it up, and I was like, okay.
You're like, I better join that. Right, okay, that's funny. So I've got another question here, and this is from Michael Cooper on my Instagram. Hey guys, awesome show. Okay, how do you gauge the new value of a property once you've renovated if you have no comparables for sale on the history or the street or the area? So how do you compare the new done up value? Now, a couple of things here. The easiest and quickest way is to actually pay for somebody to come out and value it. Is to pay for a RICS approved surveyor to come out, survey the property and give you a valuation on it. Now, what they'll do is they'll look for comparables in the area within quarter of a mile of similar properties with similar floor space, similar amenities, and similar condition. Now, if there is no comparables, you then have to start ringing around, speaking to agents and getting their feedback on what they think it will be worth. And I would speak to multiple agents, not just one agent. And sometimes you've just got to put it on the market and let the customers decide what it's worth, because that is really supply and demand, isn't it? You put something out there, if there's demand for it, you'll find out. Sometimes it's difficult if there's no comparables, but again, RICS Surveyor, they'll value it, and also websites such as
most normal houses. I mean, if you've got something a bit unique, you might not get a comparable. Most normal houses in a normal area, you'll be able to find a few comparables, and if not, just widen the search slightly.
Yeah.
But just try and find something similar.
One more question. I've just answered that one. I did see one more on here. Right. Okay. One more. Okay. This is from a guy called Scott. Okay. This guy called Scott who's messaged me on Insta. He is an ex-army. It's a really long question, so let me just get to the point. Okay, he's leaving the military and he wants to know the best way to get involved in property with about 25,000 pounds to invest. The best way, best strategy. What would you do if you had 25,000 pounds? What would you do coming out of the military? Comfortable doing doing a bit of hands-on work. What would you do?
I would be looking at doing a buy, refurbish, refinance, and then potentially doing it on my own, or maybe once I found a good deal, if I needed a little bit more money, maybe do a joint venture. Because 25, you're on the low end there. Even with bridging finance, it might not quite be enough.
I agree with that. I think if you,
I'd probably be looking to find something that I could rent out as either a HMO. I think HMOs are really good right now. Because as people have less money, what they want to live in smaller places, and we've seen redundancies and divorce rates are up. So I think HMOs are going to become really popular over the next couple of years.
So the other thing then is with regards to 25,000 pound into a buy refurb. Like if you're needing somebody to help you with that, find somebody who's got a little bit of experience and joint venture with them, and then you'll get a little bit of experience on the way, and potentially do it as a flip instead of doing it like we talk a lot about holding the asset, but sometimes it might be beneficial to flip it and then put all that money into another deal and do a bigger deal that makes more money. So I think that's what I would do.
The only thing to bear in mind, I mean, listen, you've got to make your decisions based on the market today.
Yes.
I don't think I'd do a BRR right now where I had to get the money back out. So if I was putting in 30 grand, if I had 25 grand, I thought, look, I'll put it in. Worst case, something happens to the market, my crashes a bit, and I can't do my refinance straight away.
Yeah.
No biggie. I'll just leave my 25 grand in.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think that would be okay, but I don't think I would do any sort of deal where I was like, for example, if you had a deal where you borrowed the money off a JV partner, and the deal was you had to pay them back in 2 years, otherwise you lost the property, and you're putting in money yourself, or do you know sometimes when you do deals where you overstretch, I think I'd still do BRR because you've got to do it based off the information that's in front of us, and there's nothing to suggest there's going to be a serious crash. I don't think.
Yeah.
I would still.
The deal's the important thing here. You don't want to be doing deals where you risk leaving lots of money in there if you want your money back, unless you don't mind leaving money in there for a year or two. But if you're looking to recycle that money quite quickly, you want to only be buying the absolute best.
Yeah, but he's in a situation where he's got 25 grand. I mean, if he doesn't do a BRR, what's his other option is just to buy a normal house, which is the same as doing a BRR where you end up leaving all the money in anyway. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, buy to let is probably the most. I would always do a BRR over anything else.
I would, and if the market does take a bit of a tank and loses 3%, you might end up leaving 5 grand still in the deal, 10 grand still in the deal. But hey, it's still better than leaving the whole 25 grand in the deal.
I agree with that. On that bombshell, we're going to wrap up for a day. So you can tune into this podcast on Friday evenings at 7 p.m. And where can they see it, Russell?
You can see it on Deezer, Weezer, Teaser, Neezer, Grindr, Tinder,
you name it.
Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
No, you can find Alistair on Tinder.
No, you can't.
No, because you blurred your face, haven't you? They'll never know.
A picture of you get more likes, isn't it?
See you next week, guys.
See you guys.